All right. I wanted to at least kind of go through the thought process behind my workflow through my demo. I'm not going to show you every little thing that I made because it really gets kind of into design and layout territory. Again, for the purpose of the Postpress class, I don't expect advanced designs, but I at least want to show you how I did what I did. Um, so first off, we'll kind of start with elements, and I have basically two sides to this project. I have an inside of a card that's been set up. The idea that there be a fold applied, which is where I have the guide and score with that fold. Then I have an outside that corresponds as well. Currently, this outline, this outside doesn't show the die line because I've hidden it, but if I turn it on, there we go. There's my 255 red die line. So 255.25 stroke die line that's been applied. That would be for cutout eventually. So what I did was I started out in Photoshop, and this just is running a basic layer mask application. So just to show you this, it looks like this. I did a cutout on the head from a photo that I had on St. Patrick's Day, and I just took some stock artwork of a guy dressed up like a leprechaun and popped it underneath. I then added this into a design concept that I put together in Illustrator. So what I did when setting this up is I kind of needed to know where I wanted to go first. So the idea is this would be for a 6x9 postcard. So eventually finished 6 inches in width by 9 in height. And I chose this to kind of fold horizontally, or sorry, fold vertically. So this is a lot of stock artwork and other things going on. But the key thing that matters is when I set this up, I set this for the finished fold size. So I made my document set up to account for what I wanted for. Since 6x9 was the finished card, I basically had to have double the height in this case. So I set it up to be 18, as in 9 times 2, in height, a height of 18, with a width of 6. And I also went and added a bleed to this. So I put a 1/8 inch or 0.125, if I can get it here, 0.125 inch bleed on all sides. So when this was originally set up, I had this set up to represent the card plus bleed area for trim. I also put my rulers on so I could then basically snap perfectly to center for this card, or set my ruler right on center with a guide position, as in, where did I want this thing to go? I want it to be half of 18, so I set my guide right at 9 inches. So I had a fold indicator to work with. I then went through and set up the artwork, basically with design concepts. Went through, added colors, did a bunch of stuff. So I set up the inside of the card. I made a copy of this to set up the outside of the card as well. And I'll point out what I did when I made a copy of it. So I saved a version for the outside, but I also left my face and cutout in there. And I left this in just as a reference layer. So let me make the thumbnail a little bit larger. I left this in here so that I could then make a die line over the top. Now, I could just use like a pen tool, or even the uh, even some of the other drawing tools in Illustrator for the purposes of this class, but I actually took the path over from something I'd already done in Photoshop and copied it over. But I had my face reference just to make sure that I get my die cut. And I went in on mine, and just like the pumpkin example, I made sure that my die line was in. So I had a nice little overlap of about maybe 1/8 of an inch. So when this card actually folded, everything would align. Then I made sure that I turned this layer off. I also kind of made a second version as well. So I did what I indicated. I took and actually selected and copied this one out, and made kind of a dark black version that I could turn on and off. So I could print one with a nice black reference too. But eventually I printed two versions. I printed the clean version without that black line added. And then I printed one with. All right, what I'll do in the next video is show you how I actually set up the print out of this piece.